everyone. I am very excited today to be showing Wave 2 of the Who Framed Roger Rabbit reaction figures by Super7. It was just over a year ago that Wave 1 was introduced, and I was really excited. It was completely unexpected. These are the first line of figures that have come out from the movie since 1988. I am very excited. And first off, I have to just give a big thank you to Super7 for sending me these to review. I am hoping that we are going to get a Wave 3 because we still have 2 more weasels that have to be added into this to complete the 5 weasels. So we actually have one of the weasels here is Psycho, and this little known fact, I suppose, is my favorite weasel. And then we have Roger Rabbit in Love, he's got the ears in the shape of a heart and the eyes have the red hearts in them. And finally, Eddie Valiant. Everybody was waiting. Everyone was like, where is Eddie? Because he wasn't in the first series, the first wave. So everyone thought he just was going to be left out or whatnot. And he is in Wave 2. So I'm really happy that they gave us a Wave 2. They gave us these 3. And I didn't expect an alternate Roger, but it makes sense, right? Because he's got so many expressions and things that it's easy to do different versions of him. First, we have got Eddie, and I don't know if you could see him. And as I mentioned before, you know, the card, I do like the cards, I'll say that. I really think that the cards work really nicely, even if it doesn't have Eddie's face on it. You might want to leave them on the cards, but I definitely noticed, like, they just look so nice on the cards all together. Now, I took my other ones out, of course. If you saw my last review, you'll see that I did take all of them and I unboxed all of them. So if you're a mint on card person, these will work really well. And they come unpunched too, if you order from, I believe if you order directly from Super7. So we've got Eddie there, and it's so great. He really looks good. He really does. And this is really, I got them and I put them aside just so I could do this, so I didn't even get a chance to completely look at them. So here is Eddie. So here is a close-up of Eddie Valiant. A lot of people were wondering where he was. He wasn't in Wave 1, but we got him in Wave 2, and he looks great. He absolutely looks perfect. As you can see, he's got the messy little tie here with the shirt, and it's not very colorful because he just wears a brown suit in the movie, but it really looks very good. They did a lot of work on it, just on the little folds and creases and the shirt and the hat. Now, he does have 5 points of articulation. The arms, the head was a little tight, but it did move, and the legs were a little tight too, but once I got them moving, they were fine. And as you can see, he can sit down perfectly. So this would be great if they could do a Benny the Cab. I don't know, possibly. Hopefully they will do something like that, because I think that would look really cool. Now, the accessory he comes with is this small punch mallet. As you can see, it's from the end of the movie when he defeats Judge Doom. There is a boxing glove in there. There's a little flap at the top. Doesn't open or anything, but it fits in his hand perfectly. Once I got it in there, it was no problem, and he's able to hold it and stand up really easily. And it is kind of a shame that Bob Hoskins is not on the card. I know people were talking about that, but the face is definitely Bob Hoskins. It really does look like him. Now, here's the comparison between the old LJN figure from 1988 and the new Super7 figure. Definitely an improvement. And it's hard to believe it's taken 35 years to get all 3 of the main characters in action figure form in the same scale, but they look perfect together. I couldn't be happier with this. They look amazing. So here is Roger in Love. You can see here's the card with the hearts all around. Looks so good. So we're gonna see now if the arms move, because it does look like they are like together in some way. You've probably seen that. Now, if you looked at the pictures, they're just the way they're sculpted. It's a more solid plastic than, like, say, old Star Wars figures or old school figures like that. Where sometimes they're a little pliable, you know, like you can move them a little bit. These are very, very solid. These are like a resin plastic or something like that. But I really like it because it's sturdy. And you can get a close look at Roger. It's going to be perfect with Jessica. Actually, I have here. Hang on, we'll do side by side. So I mean, come on, this is perfect. Oh my gosh, they look so good. And this is, again, I'm just opening them now, so I haven't even seen them side by side. I mean, this is great. So if you got the Jessica, even if you got the other Roger, look how much better this looks. So here is our first Roger Rabbit variant figure, and if you watched my last video, you might have noticed that I did say Super 7 should do this. They should just do Roger again, but with different expressions. Now, I'm not saying that they listen to that, but I think they have a finger on the pulse of how to create these characters, because they do have different types of expressions that you can use. So you'll see his ears here are in the shape of a heart. His eyes have the red hearts in them. His body looks pretty much the same as the original figure that came out last year by Super 7. So I think all they really did is change the hands and head. Now, the hands are stuck together. You can't really do anything. They don't move. His head was very, very tight, and you could really only move it the one way anyway. So he doesn't really have a standard 5 points of articulation anyway. So it didn't really do very much. The feet have the peg holes in the bottom, although you don't really need them. And they did move. So the only thing you can maybe get him to do is sit down. He also doesn't have any accessories, which is a little bit of a bummer, but he wouldn't be able to hold them because of the hands. But the expression and the face look great. It's right out of the scene when he is in the theater with Dolores and Eddie, so it would just be great to see them do other expressions, you know, screaming or sad, and he looks perfect next to Jessica. I mean, the other figure looked great too, but these two together, I mean, this really, really works. I'm glad they came out with it. Now here is the comparison between the 1988 LJN figure and the two Roger Rabbit figures by Super 7. And then next is Psycho Weasel. This is my favorite Weasel of the 5. Not that I don't post about him or anything, but he was always my favorite one. I always liked him the most. Again, I don't know how to explain it. They look way better in person than they did in the promo photos. I don't know why that is. It was something that I noticed, and they just look way, way better. I don't know if it's just, maybe it was the photography. There was a group shot photography that they did in the first wave, which looked good, but the on card, it didn't look as good. And then getting them and seeing them all on card together, they looked way, 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 way better than I expected. So here is Psycho. Now, I think maybe in the cartoon, in the movie, his robe here, the straitjacket, was a little longer, but obviously you wouldn't be able to move his legs if you made it that long. So here he is. I mean, that is just funny. That is just great. I just love how that looks. And last but not least, we have Psycho, one of the 5 Weasels. Now, we have 3 Weasels when we include him, so there's still 2 more to go. I'm really, really hopeful that we'll get the other 2, if nothing else. At least just give us the other 2 Weasels, because I really would like to have all 5. Now, he looks really good. I mean, just really crazed and just psycho like his name. You see all the little straps on the back of the straitjacket, on the corners of the sleeves, the spikes in the hair. and the tongue, the teeth, the eyes. I mean, it really, really, really looks good. He has a standard 5 points of articulation. The arms moved really easily. The legs moved easily. He's got the peg holes and the head. There was just no problem whatsoever. So really sturdy figure. I'm so happy with how he came out. Now he does have a gripping hand, but he also doesn't come with any accessories, which is a bit of a bummer as well. But he can hold the punch mallet that belongs to Eddie Valiant. It went right in his hand with no problem, and I was able to stand him up if I just kind of maneuvered him back a little bit, and he holds it perfectly. And here are the 3 weasels we have so far: Smarty, Stupid, and Psycho, and I just can't wait for the other 2 weasels to come out. I mean, this is going to look really, really cool just as a display. And, you know, most people were talking about the weasels. I was kind of shocked at how many people were really excited to get all 5. I just didn't think people would think that much of these characters. But when it came to the weasels and Judge Doom, people were way more excited than I had anticipated. So I would hope that, you know, if we don't get ultimates of them or something like that, at least if we get all 5 of them, I think I would be very happy. I know that there was supposed to be Judge Doom possibly coming out. It was listed that there was going to be a Sawblade hands Judge Doom. As you can see, he's not mentioned on here. So I don't know what that means. I did try to ask. They weren't sure about it, the person who I asked. So I'm not sure. I just don't know what that means. I don't know if maybe it'll be an exclusive or maybe it'll come out in Wave 3. But it was listed on Entertainment Earth, and it was listed on a Big Bad Toy Store. They may have gotten just wrong information. I know a lot of people were asking me about it. They just may not have gotten the correct information, or they may have gotten information that they weren't supposed to share yet. I don't know. But I did ask Super7, and the person who was talking to me just said that they couldn't give me a full answer on it, unfortunately. So I wish I could tell you guys that the alternate Judge Doom was coming, but I sadly did not get an answer. So we've got Stupid, we've got Smarty, Psycho. I've messed with their legs a little bit, so it might take a second to stand them up. Here's Judge Doom. There's Eddie. There they are. I mean, they look really, really, really good together. I really like how they look. Quickly, to go over a wish list. So we obviously have the 3 weasels now. We have 2 left to be made, and you see them up at the top there. We've got Wheezy with the cigarettes, and then we've got Greasy in the green. So my thought is that, of course, Wheezy with the cigarettes is going to have to be changed because he's not going to be able to have cigarettes, I'm sure, showing on a toy, which is okay. As long as they make him, I'm so praying that they make the other 2, because, I mean, we need to finish out the 5 weasels. We absolutely have. There's only 2 left. So I really hope that they get to do that, and then Greasy as well. I know that Brian Flynn, the owner of Super7, mentioned Benny the Cab. Like when Wave 1 came out, he did bring up Benny the Cab, but I don't know that that means it's going to come out. I mean, I haven't heard anything, and again, they haven't told me anything, but I can't imagine, especially with, you know, the Eddie that sits down like really flat and really perfect, why they wouldn't come out with Benny the Cab. I know it's a vehicle, it might be a little bit different, obviously it's going to cost a little bit more, but how could you not have Benny the Cab? And he did mention it on a live stream or a podcast that he did with someone. I believe it was like Pixel Dan or something like that, that they did think about making Benny the Cab. So it's a possibility. Then we have Baby Herman, and I can't imagine that they won't make Baby Herman. That's if they have a 3rd wave. I don't know if there's going to be a Wave 3 again. They couldn't confirm that with me, unfortunately. So obviously when you have these characters, like if you have Roger here and you have Eddie, wrong Eddie, if you have Eddie, you don't want to make baby Herman the same size as these. I mean, I understand why you would do that, to make it like you don't cheap out on plastic, but you would have a baby Herman so out of scale, because even the weasels, if you look at the weasels compared to Eddie, they are a little shorter, but not much. So they went a little bit bigger with the weasels, and it's okay. It's not that bad, even though they should maybe be like a little bit shorter, or kind of like that. So if they did baby Herman, I don't know how they would do baby Herman. And I thought, well, maybe they could make him with his girlfriend, who only doesn't have a name in the movie. She's just listed as Blonde Starlet. So maybe they could call her Starlet. I don't know. So that's my other thought. Yeah, I see baby Herman in a stroller, so that would work too. So if they can't make the girlfriend and like make it like a 2-pack, which I know is hard for them to do, because if you have 2 characters in one thing, it's like 2 SKU numbers or something. I don't know. It's complicated to do that. But baby Herman with a stroller accessory would work really, really well if they did that. So I would be up for seeing that. That might work. But it's like, how can they not do baby Herman? Another character, I was really surprised to see so many people saying they wanted Dolores. I was really shocked. I thought, I mean, I clearly want every character, but you can't make them all. But now that we have Eddie, that would be great to have with him. I don't know how it would sell, but again, I was really surprised to see how many people were asking and saying that they really wanted to see Dolores. So I hope that they do. That would be really, really cool if they do. I don't know that they would do anybody else, like say a Marvin Acme or something like that. So, I mean, there are a couple more human characters that they can do, possibly, but I don't know that they would go that deep. I think Marvin Acme is probably the only other one, aside from Dolores and baby Herman's girlfriend, that you could do. I did see people mention the Gorilla Bouncer from Ink and Paint Club, which he would be like real, like this is how tall Eddie and Judge Doom are. Like, he would have to be a little bit bigger. I mean, they wouldn't make it probably exact size, but that would be a really cool figure to have, because he would be really big. It would just be fun. I don't know that they could do that. And then the only other tune I could think of is Lena Hyena, who I don't think she's owned by Disney, but I think she was like a public domain character, possibly. But it would be fun to have like another cartoon woman in the line, really, that they could do. Obviously she would look very opposite from Jessica, but it would be funny. Like, when you think of like, there she is with her like weird expression, and you have like a Roger with a weird expression. They could probably do that pretty easily. So I think that would be fun if they can do it. Again, they didn't tell me anything. I don't know anything. They haven't said anything. And again, here's Roger. He's got his expressions, and we can have a screaming expression. We can have a sad expression. So there still are a couple more Rogers that they can do, possibly, if they wanted to do it, which I would like to see. And I was, again, surprised to see people wanted a non-glittered dress version. This was the version that had like, I call it like jelly bean. That's like what it almost looks like to me, like jelly bean with the glittery dress. And there were people who wanted a Jessica without. I think that a lot of people missed out and didn't get her. And her and Roger, as far as I know, like they seem to be the two that are sold out the most when you look for them anywhere. So to maybe have a non-glitter version you could do. I don't think you could do another Bob Hoskins. I don't think there's any, but just as a joke, I said, well, maybe we could do shirtless Bob Hoskins, which has sort of become sort of a funny kind of thing, like when people point out, him and all his chest hair and everything, but I don't think they would do that. But I mean, they've done April Fool's Day figures before. They did that with G.I. Joe, so hey, it's possible. I don't know that there's any other Jessica figures that they could do beside another glitter, like no glitter. But if they could do the other movies, we do have Park Ranger Jessica. We do have Nurse Jessica. Now, Nurse Jessica, if anybody knows, was not banned, but many years ago, we're talking 20 years ago, the Nursing Association saw a pin that came out for Nurses Day with Jessica on it, and it said Nurses Day. And they wrote a letter to Disney. They wanted them to pull it. They did. And then Disney pledged to not do Nurse Jessica anything anymore. And there, from what I understand, is not an outright ban. It's not been banned. I think it's just more so not putting Nurses Day, the Nurses Day banner. We're not celebrating Nurses Day by showing Jessica, that kind of thing. But I don't know. I mean, Super 7 would have to kind of fight to get that. And the Park Ranger Jessica is possible because the Park Ranger, an artist I know who works for Disney, who did a Park Ranger Jessica statue, Tracy M. Lee from Electric Tiki, called or contacted the Park Ranger Association to make sure that they were okay with it, and the Park Ranger Association has no problem with Park Ranger Jessica whatsoever. So we're in the clear there. So they can do that. The other two possibilities for other two variant Jessicas are, if you remember in Roger's wallet when he opens it up in the movie, there is Bride Jessica and there is them at the beach. So Bride and Groom Roger and Jessica, and then Beach Roger and Jessica. So they could do both of those with, I think, the Groom and Bride, I feel like would be like a bigger seller. I could see people putting it on their wedding cakes and stuff like that. And I think it would just really work well, and they wouldn't have to do much. In fact, I made a little picture. This is not coming out. This is just, I literally just photoshopped this in like 2 minutes. So it's a very, very crude Photoshop type work. And it's the same exact figure, just with the veil. They could just attach the veil and do it in different colors. That's all they would really need to do, honestly. Now, Roger would have to be completely new, but as you see, it's possible. They could give us a variant like that if they wanted to. The other variant I think that they really should do, and which I think would be easy for them to do, and of course I say easy, I don't know, is if they did the Weasel spirits. They could just literally reuse all 5. And that's a lot when you can reuse 5 figures and just cast them in like a translucent plastic maybe, or like a glow in the dark. Like I think 5 glow in the dark Weasel spirits would be, I would get that, like, and they just put them in a box, right? Like in a box set, all 5 of them. And they all were like I would buy that immediately. Like they could do that maybe as like a special, like, convention exclusive or something. But they would be able to reuse all 5 sculpts of the Weasels, which, I mean, to me, I feel like that's really good, because that's a lot of characters that you can reuse, and a simple reuse. You don't need to do anything. You just keep them the way they are. Maybe you could add little wings if you want or something like that, but I don't even know if you would need to. Yeah, you make them glow in the dark. Oh, like blacklight reactive or something like that. Oh, I would buy those immediately. I would absolutely. You just put them all in like one box set together. Boss Weasel might have to be a little bit different because he didn't have a spirit, but maybe you could deco him green. Put a little green deco on him, but cast him in the same plastic because he was dipped basically. But I would buy those immediately if those all came out. Even if something happened and there is no wave 3, at least we've got these, right? At least we've got this many. I certainly want there to be a wave 3. It's a shorter wave. This was a little interesting to me that there were only 3 figures in this line, in this wave, because it just seemed like the other one being 5 figures was like a hit. Like everybody liked that it was 5. It had a good variation of characters and stuff. So to have only had 3, I'm a little concerned. I'm hoping maybe they just broke up 2 waves, and instead of having 6, because I know that they were the first wave was 5 and they were gonna have 6, and the 6th one was gonna be Eddie, and they took him out because they didn't know how well these would do, and so they took Eddie out of that, and they only gave us 5 figures. So then they put Eddie into wave 2, and with these 2 others. So I maybe they just took the other 3 and they're making a 3rd wave. And so if anything, the last hope would be, if they do only 3 more figures, would be the last 2 Weasels and Baby Herman. that would be it. I would be happy with that. I think that would be great. I don't think I could ask for anything more. Like, we need the 5 weasels though. Like, how could we not have all 5 of the weasels? So anyway, thank you so much for watching. Big thank you to Super7 for sending me these to review. It's like, to me, it's like, I don't think I could be more honored, honestly. I just do this as a fan. I don't really do this for, making money or certainly not clout or anything. So to just have them recognize me for that and do this for me has been, I've just been so happy, especially since these are the first action figures we've had for 35 years of them. So I'm hoping there's more, hoping there's Ultimates. Again, it was discussed. It is something that they want to do, but I don't know. They're not telling me. Let's put it that way. I don't know. I would tell you. It would be hard for me not to tell you if I knew, but I don't know. So of course, I'm going to try to get all the information. Of course, as soon as there is any information on a Wave 3, when these are available for sale, I'm just going to put it. You'll see it. If you're following me or whatever, you'll see it on my stories, on a post. I will make sure to tell everyone. So, all right, thank you all very much. Thank you for joining me, and I will hopefully see you next time, hopefully with a Wave 3. I'm keeping my fingers crossed.